What's up, Metro? Welcome back to another rendition of Numbers and Beyond. My name is Will.
My name is Ben.
And we are here to talk to you about a lot of great things, including some MLB, some playoff activities, and everything else in between. Let's get started, sir.
And like we like to do, we start with the locals. We're going to start by talking about the bats again. Currently, they're sitting at 24-29 with their overall record. Some of their batting leaders right now, Francisco Urbiez is hitting at .313. Rhys Hines has 30 runs. He has 35 RBI, and Edwin Rios has 9 home runs. Pitching mention is Aaron Wilkerson. He's got 4 wins for them with a 3.83 earned run average with 46 strikeouts.
Rhys Hines, it's impressive. I saw their little lineup last week, their new lineup.
Yeah, they brought some guys down from the majors.
Yeah. And it looks promising. So I don't want to downplay it yet, but
it's AAA, and again, it's always just an opportunity, whether it's recovery for some of these guys or some of the guys that maybe even move up, they get sent back down, and it usually boosts them up. But I mean, AAA is always fun because it's local. It's always that feeling of like it's small time, but you still got big names, so it's always like a little promotion, and it's kind of fun, So I mean, it's never a bad thing to see the Louisville bats if you're here in Louisville.
I feel it.
Now, obviously, we are here in Louisville, so we want to talk about University of Louisville. Their baseball season. They just went and competed to try to get through the ACC championship tournament. Unfortunately, they lost to Pittsburgh 13-11 in the first round. It seems like they've had some first round losses this year. Back in March Madness, they lost to Creighton. That was rough.
Yeah, well, they've been having all these problems with their pitching, and they gave up at least 10 earned runs per game.
Yeah,
it's crazy the way that you put it. When you put all their stats together, you would think that they would have something more, but they really don't.
They really struggled against Pitt with their pitching. I noticed they seemed out of sync. They weren't. None of the pitchers really got up to the mound and really looked like they were ready to really win the game. They all seemed a little shaky. Mm-hmm. I mean, they did okay, don't get me wrong, and obviously the numbers would show that it's a closer game, but even if you look at like Louisville through the season, a lot of their games, they've had fairly close scores, but it has came down to a lot of times their pitching has just given it up in the end. I mean, they gave up three home runs were given up against Louisville. It's not great. 2 of those were actually in the 9th. A 2-run home run kind of killed him in the 9th. Eddie King, a little shout out to him. He got his 14th home run. He went up, hit 4 or 5 when he went up to the plate. So, I mean, he was hitting pretty good. And several of their guys were hitting well, but again, some of it came down to also they weren't driving the runs in. So there was part of that was their offense was, while it was good enough, 11 runs in most games would be good enough to win a game.
Yeah.
But when your pitching and your fielding's a little off, especially in something like a tournament like this, where there's a lot more pressure, you're not at home, you're going up against another very competitive team, and a team that can hit really well, you see what happens. So, that kind of is where I would expect things to fall. I was hoping to get through and get past Pitt, make at least to the second round. It would have been nice, but it's okay. It is what it is. We're still not out of, the postseason. We're just not in it for the ACC championship, which of course, shout out to North Carolina a little bit. They went ahead and won that ACC title. So, they do move on to the Nashville Regionals. Louisville does as the number 2 seed. They'll play against number 3 seed East Tennessee State. So that ought to be a fun little game. This will be the 15th postseason appearance for the Cardinals, which is after 2 years of not making it now. And ironically enough, 14 of these postseason appearances have came during Dan McDonald's 19 seasons in charge. Pretty impressive.
It really is. When you can put up those type of stats, legendary status is in question.
No doubt. Louisville has been in the postseason a lot. And it's one of the things everybody talks about football and basketball, right? They get a lot of stuff funneled in there to the viewership, the popularity. They get a lot of more funding, I think, for those programs. But baseball is still great, and they've been there consistently year after year. The last 2 years were rough for Louisville, but I think that's been in every category of sports for them, really. They've had a rough couple of years, but Louisville's almost always there, and it's something that we should definitely talk about more.
All right, on to the track and field. The Cards have been represented by 14 events with 17 student athletes in it.
Yeah, they have 17 athletes competing in 14 different events, which is really cool. I mean, that's another thing that Louisville has done really well, and I think really over the last several years. This will serve as one of two qualifying meets for the NCAA Division I Outdoor Track and Field Championships. That'll happen June 11th through 14th in Eugene, Oregon. What about that?
Eugene,
the weather.
I've never heard of Eugene, Oregon, sir. So
ain't that where I might be wrong. I'm throwing this out there and winging it, but ain't that where the Oregon the Ducks are from? Ain't that where they play at? I don't know.
I would hope not, but okay.
Yeah.
Eugene.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
on to the MLB.
That's all for the locals.
On to the MLB. The MLB has just invested into the Women's Professional Softball League. This partnership with the Athletes Unlimited Softball League marks the MLB's first major investment in women's professional sports. What do you think about this? How do you think it's going to change the dynamic of women's sports? How do you think it's going to be viewed now?
Okay, so softball, right? Like it's different. You know, we got more popularity for baseball, but college is definitely, you know, you got high school and stuff too. But like college, you see a lot of softball. It's part of their programs. It's one of their many sports, and you know, it's something that has definitely gained more viewership over the last several years, and definitely I feel like a thing where we could see more growth, right? Like you don't really see a lot about women's professional sports. Again, we could talk about the WNBA as part of that affiliation with the NBA. It expands it and it grows it, right? And it shows a different side of the market. It's a little bit of diversity there. I think the same thing here is going to happen with this. Softball's different. It's not baseball, so it's not like we're watching the same exact thing. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know how they can underhand throw the ball like they do. Blows my mind. I feel like my arm would just pop off trying that. Just
yeah, it seems like it.
But they are.
I actually like watching women's softball. So it's really going to be interesting to see how the investment makes everything pop more out. You know, see what type of talent we can get inside.
Well, and that's the thing. Like the commissioner for the MLB, Robert Manfred, he even said that there's an infrastructure advantage here because there's already an established pipeline of athletes coming from college. So it's not like you're looking at a fresh start with not a single person. You're looking at every college across the country has these athletes that can go into this and play at a pro level, the ones that would be able to do so. It's the same way as you would see with MLB. And it's an established sport that already exists, and this is a partnership and investment, I think, that expands it. And when you already have an established fan base of a sport like softball, again, referring to college, and even just people go out and play it, right? Like you hear about softball leagues, like, you know, just all over the country, you know, people be, you know, little jobs, companies, you know, it's really common in like with first responders of the little softball groups, stuff like that. It's a sport that people like, and it's doable.
Yeah, I actually think it'll go over way better than the WNBA has. Me personally.
I can see that.
I mean,
what do you think? And this is just an opinion thought here. What do you think how it'll be funding wise? Because you know we hear about the discrepancies in the income that these players make with the WNBA comparatively to the NBA, and I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
But in regards to softball, right? What do you think it would look like comparatively there? Do you think that it would be completely different, or do you think like you would see some?
Totally different, unless it gains the type of traction that the MLB does. Okay. It'll look completely different. We're not talking about massive payouts immediately. Right. There's no way for that to happen until it gains the traction that I believe that it can. You know, women's sports does need a little bit more attention, and I think the softball aspect will be a nice little rendition to it. So
I'm in agreement.
On to the MLB's top 5. We still have the Detroit Tigers sitting at number 1 and the Phillies sitting at number 2 with the Yankees at number 3.
Man,
I wish I could say I like where the MLB is, you know, how it's tracking right now. But it seems so scattered, don't you think? Like, well, everything just seems like it's a little bit all over the place when it comes to the...
Except for your top 5. I mean, we continue to see pretty much the same teams now. I mean, granted, we're seeing the slide a little bit with the Yankees and the Dodgers. Kind of interesting. We don't see the Padres up here right now. Mm-hmm. We don't see.
That's what I'm saying. It seems like the teams that you would expect to be ahead aren't doing as well.
Well,
like I don't think the Yankees are doing better than the Dodgers by any standpoint, but they're
yeah. I see what you're saying.
Or by the Padres standpoint. But I see where the Padres are slipping up, so I guess.
What about the Mets? The last time we were here, we were talking, the Mets were up here. And they've had a little bit of a slide.
Well, I told you that. Yeah. That was bound to happen. The Mets aren't performing the way that they're supposed to. Not with the lineup that they have. They could, if they start performing at top. I watched Juan Soto take three pitches all in the zone the other night. That blows my mind. All in the zone, perfect. On the Yankees, those would have been 500-yarders. out. Garrett Crochet just threw him everything, and he just looked at them all just. I don't know what's going on with the Mets right now. I don't want to know until they get it together. Once they fix it, I'll tune back in.
I mean, I could agree with that. I think maybe they need to be a little more confident at the plate right now. I feel like they've kind of started holding a little bit on them. They get up against good pitchers and they don't want to take the swings like they were. Maybe it's the fact that maybe they realize they don't want to swing for the fences every time.
Hey, Petey's doing great.
Yeah.
Alonso is still doing his thing. Every game, you can count on him to still make some connections. I mean, other than that, it's the role players. But you got your top 5 in your lineup that aren't doing anything. They're not making a standpoint right now. And it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
The Cubs are doing 10 times better than the Mets are.
I mean, 35-21, so they're proving that they're there. They're here to, I think they're here to make a push for the postseason. In fact, the Cubs quietly, in my opinion, could be one of the teams that could take it all.
I completely agree, sir.
Okay, hey, we're in agreement.
Yeah, I completely agree. The Cubs have been doing awesome.
And it's quieter than the rest of these top 5. They're not, don't get me wrong, they're still getting their recognition. It's the Cubs and Chicago, but they aren't, it ain't the same. And it's going to be interesting.
Our bottom 5, oh my gosh. I said about the Athletics at the beginning of this year that they were impressing me. They are starting to die down.
23-24, man.
Whew. I think they're starting to be exposed in their holes in their games. So we'll see if they can fix that.
Is it the pitching or is it the hitting?
Pitching.
Okay,
it's
I agree.
They don't have because their hitting lineup is amazing.
I don't disagree.
They know exactly what to do. It's just when it comes down to it, if you can't pitch around the people that you're going up against, what are you gonna do? Nothing.
Well, what about Skeens and the Pirates?
Skeens needs to leave the Pirates. He is a rookie talent and he is doing amazing, but his record doesn't show it specifically because his team keeps losing.
21-36. It's their batting. I don't.
It's their batting completely.
The pitching. He's fine. But then he's.
Skeens needs to leave the Pirates.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and put him on the Dodgers.
No, hang on now.
Let's put him on the Dodgers,
y'all. No Dodgers.
Yes. We got the money.
You know where he was great at? Cincinnati.
Let's not waste talent, okay?
Hey,
we're talking about a team. We're talking about the 2 of the same team when we're talking about the Pirates and the Reds.
No, absolutely not. So let's talk about the Orioles then. That was a team you kind of were a fan of a little bit at the beginning of the year. But boy, 19 wins is all they've got. Whew.
I was, and they have been slowly disappointing me
slowly?
this entire time. Slowly. It's been slow.
That's
because
fast. Terrible. Rocky's bad.
Because they have potential. That's every time. If you're watching the games, they have potential to win all of these games. Sure. They just blow it in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning.
So no clutch factor?
No clutch factor. That's the problem. There you go. I'll take it. I'll take it on the chin. The White Sox, we kind of expected where they would be, but they were doing great at the beginning of the year. But I feel like they have a lot of people on their IR list.
Speaking of the beginning of the year, just real quick, isn't it interesting how a lot of your these bottom 5 teams, right? They all started off kind of good, and the top 5 kind of slow, and they quickly flip-flopped, and now here we are. It shows an establishment as these guys get into their rotations and into their positions. The better players get a little bit opened up, and then they take off. So, I mean, yeah.
Let's get into the bottom
feeder.
tier.
There's not even a tier for this anymore. The Rockies they're in their own league almost.
Literally, this hasn't been seen since 1989.
9
with the
and
Spiders.
7, yes.
The Spiders in 1899. They had a record of like
It was
10 and
it was
10 and
bad.
55.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. Like, this was in their first 55 games, right? So, like, when you look at it, this is 21 consecutive series that the Rockies have dropped. It's been 8 months, I do believe, since they've won a series between now and last season. The Rockies can win a game here and there, but they cannot win a series, and yeah.
Let me say this. I like the Rockies. I love the Rockies. So I'm gonna defend them real quick.
For what? What is there to defend? Their record speaks for itself.
It really does. It does, and I don't want to sound like I'm just rooting on for an underdog, but they have the lineup. I love their lineup. Ryan McMahon, you got Brenton Doyle, you got Hunter Goodman. I love their lineup. I don't know why it's not working for them. Maybe it's the pitching. They got a couple of rookie pitchers out there, but even their pitching isn't that bad. If you're watching the games, they're going head to head with folks. Like the Rockies, I think they had a 14-11 game against the Diamondbacks.
I do believe so, yeah.
They're hitting the ball and they're going crazy. It's just they're not taking the series.
But not only are they not taking series, they're just dropping everything almost. They've got 9 wins. Right?
I don't know why.
Since 1901, there are only 1 or 2 teams that have had fewer than 10 wins, going back to that, and it was with the Washington Senators, 1904. Now, I will give them this, and we talk about the Spiders. They did manage to avoid the major league record for losses, which was back in 1895 with the Louisville Colonels, where they mustered only 8 wins in their first 55 games of the year. I like Louisville. I love locals, so it's kind of fun to see that type of stat, even though it seems like it's been forever ago, more than my lifetime for sure. But hey, and then we talk about the Spiders, where the Rockies are currently on pace for how many wins?
27. I think they'll do better than 27.
I don't know. That's the fewest in a non-pandemic series since 1899.
I think we're going to see something.
That's where the Cleveland Spiders were 20 and 134.
I think we're going to see some pick up when it comes down to the Rockies.
From what? What do they have to pick up to do anything respectively where they're going to turn that season
here,
around?
let me put it like this. I think that they're going to pick up in a major way come, let's say, August. Round about August, we're going to see a whole lot. But let's get into these finals. OKC has officially made it to the finals on an incredible run, might I add.
4-1, tore the Timberwolves to pieces. They come in on an 80-18 record into the matchups. It leaves little room, in my opinion, to debate how good they are. And I think we've talked about this before, right? This is a team that should realistically win this title. I don't see why they won't win the finals. It's the first time since 2012, back when it was KD, Westbrook, and Harden, where they went up against Miami's Big Three.
My personal favorite team of all time.
Absolutely.
That lineup was awesome.
They've won 8 of their 9 playoff games at home, respectively 51 points, 19, 43, 7, 32, 36, 15, and 30. Literally only 1 game was not by double points.
As it should have been. I mean, they've been a dominant team all season. They have nothing to be ashamed about, nothing to be humble about. Go out there and dog them out, man. Young coach, young team, young wins. Let's get it. Like, Shai Gilgeous is having one of the best individual NBA seasons of all time.
Absolutely.
Like 30 points per game at least, and you're not even gonna think about it. He just has it.
MVP at 26 years old, right? MVP of the Western Conference Finals is another one. The next step, they're going to be a title winner.
I think it's there's nobody to beat them, whether it be the Knicks or the Pacers. There's nobody that's going to take them. So yeah. I definitely, I'll say If the Pacers drop, then we're gonna take the Thunder in a nice sweep.
I disagree.
If the Pacers make it, we'll give them the gentleman's sweep. But they're not gonna take the ship this year. They don't have what it takes.
Hey, they are. I think you're giving them a little less love than what they deserve.
They started to convince me. They started to have me second guessing. Hey, maybe you should stop reading so much into, regular seasons. Playoffs do matter.
They do.
No, they don't.
They do.
They don't.
They do.
You know why they don't? Because they performed the exact way that I thought they would. Halliburton had 8 points, sir. We're not doing that.
Okay.
8 points for your star player. Shea Gilgeous could never.
Okay. You look at the feelings, I look at the numbers, right? This is what we talk about, this is what we do. Our back and forth off this camera has always been that way, and it'll always be that way. However, if you look at it, the feelings probably play more of a factor in the playoffs than the numbers do in some ways, because the numbers are how they perform when you look at it afterwards.
Which is why I'm right.
The Pacers have the emotions for this game, and I think they're going to take it, and I think they're going to take it resoundingly.
They drop game 6. I can guarantee you they drop game 7.
I think this will be a 7-game series between the Thunder and the Pacers. That's my thing. I think the Thunder will take it. That's my call. I'm just saying.
Hey.
Anyway,
7 games against the Thunder? No.
Yeah,
bro,
absolutely.
no.
It's going to go
That's
7.
That's not happening. That's
4-3. Oklahoma takes it. Hey, just saying, everybody.
Gentlemen's sweep by the Thunder. That's what we're gonna take.
Not a chance.
Take it as, but they have to get past the Knicks first because it looks dark right now. It looks scary. They either take this next game or they lose the series. That's how I see it.
I'm going to just put it this way. I'm excited to come on to the next one and it be the Pacers and the Thunder in the finals, and who knows, a couple games in and it might be the Pacers leading. You
really have a lot of misconceptions of your team. But until we get to until they fail like I think they're going to,
the numbers aren't bad, man. I'm just saying the Pacers have put up some really good numbers this year in the playoffs.
I don't know, sir. You just have you have this dream of the Pacers. And it's not
What's so
it's
crazy?
not accurate.
Why?
It's not accurate. Just because they have
just for them to get to the finals. Just for them to get to the finals. My dream is outlandish for them to go to the finals. Even if they
don't make it to the finals, I was completely right. If they make it to the finals, then I was only halfway right because they're still going to get swept.
I don't think they're getting swept.
I wish they would go
both
to
teams.
game 7.
Okay, both teams play very similar. Both teams play very similar, but the Pacers' pace, ironically enough, right? Is really good. Their defense is not bad at all, and I think that at the end of the day, the Pacers can hold their own. They can score. So can the Thunder. But the Thunder actually play slower than they do.
Who scores better?
Ooh, that's a debatable question because really when you look at how the ball is, yes, who spreads the ball more to and when they do that, who scores more as a total team?
Who cares about a total team if you're winning?
You definitely should. Whose bench performs better?
If you let Shea Gilgeous get to the line 42 times out of the night, that's on you.
Look, yeah, he hit 4 free throw in that last. Look, he can sink a free throw, but it doesn't matter, right?
He can sink way more than free throws, sir.
Yeah, of course.
He's actually terrorizing teams out there.
He does. He can hit it from beyond the arc. He can get in the paint. He spreads the ball. I don't disagree, right?
And then we're only talking about Shea. What about Chet? Who's gonna stop Chet?
His defense is what I like about him. The way the man can control a player.
His offense is nice too.
His offense is. Do you see the way though he played on defense in the paint?
You think Siakam has a chance?
Yeah, absolutely. Siakam definitely has a chance.
Okay. Okay.
Let's move
on. Hold on. Wait. Let's move on. Who's gonna stop Hartenstein? Who's gonna stop him from grabbing every board?
You tell me.
Y'all don't have multiple people that can guard everybody on the Thunder.
We don't need to guard everybody.
Y'all starting 5 does not match up with our starting 5. That's the problem.
Here's the only thing though. Okay, so let's say our starting 5 isn't 100% to the Thunder starting 5, right? The Pacers starting 5 might be like 90%. Let's look at the benches. Look who scored more. I'm gonna just tell you this now. When you start going into the rotation, because they start getting tired
Doesn't
by
matter.
game 4, game 5, that bench production is.
That's
going
why I
to
gave it
make
the gentleman's sweep. The gentleman's sweep is possible because they're going to take a game off. Why are y'all going to give them a game off? Y'all are going to give them a game where y'all feel so comfortable. Oh, we just scored 130 points. They only had 88, but they played their bench the whole time. That's what y'all going to have that nice little pump up. And then game 5, it's all over.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I agree. Shea Gilgeous did really, really well in game 5, and I think
who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop him? If you can give me somebody that's going to stop that man, who's going to stop Jalen Williams? Who's going to stop Chet Holmgren? Who's going to do these things on a consistent basis?
I'll give you that, but who's going to stop Halliburton? Who's going to stop Siakam? Who's going to stop Neesmith?
Shea Gilgeous.
Who's going to stop
Chet Holmgren? Jalen Williams.
Okay.
The problem is, when I say who's going to stop them, their offense is just as bad as their defense.
No,
their defense is immaculate.
Both sides are
great. Their defense is immaculate.
Both sides are immaculate, in my opinion. The Pacers have proven it.
No, they haven't.
I'll give the Thunder had a really, really good regular season. The record.
I wish you would
itself.
tell me that the Knicks would have beat the Thunder in the way that they just beat the Pacers last night. I wish you would tell me.
It wasn't like the Thunder had a flawless run through the postseason.
The difference was they had like 5 weeks off after demolishing a Grizzlies team. They had like 5 weeks off. They were tired. They came back. They got revved back up, and they took
You
that
said
series.
they had 5 weeks off and they were tired. How are they tired?
I mean, not tired. You know, comfortable. You know what I mean.
Comfortable? How are they comfortable?
They got comfortable. 5 weeks off. Why wouldn't you be comfortable? Why wouldn't you? They got comfortable, and then they shook back to reality and took the series away from the Nuggets, as they should have.
And
they
it took them 7 games to deal with Jokic. I don't care. 7 games. Who stopped him? Not a single person.
There's not one person on the Pacers that you can compare to Jokic.
You don't.
Please let me know.
There's not one on the Thunder right now that I would have compared to him because the man continued to terrorize them, and it took 7 games.
Chet Holmgren's close.
He didn't do it.
He gets a couple more years in. Chet
over
Holmgren's
30
close.
points a game for Jokic. How are you going to tell me
Chet Holmgren has every opportunity to do that. When he's healthy, when he's not injured. Matter of fact, at the beginning of this year, you couldn't count on him to drop nothing but 20. Nothing but.
Okay,
he
I'm talking about the offense.
10.
I'm talking about that defense.
20 and 10.
Didn't stop
20 and 10.
Nobody.
He had double-doubles all through the first part of the season. He got injured, and then he came back. Now he's getting about 15 per game, but that's all he needs.
It doesn't change the fact, though, that it took them 7 games to wrap up Jokic. I'm not even saying the Nuggets at this point. Jokic. And now
Jokic got wrapped up the way that he needed to.
Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are a young team that is going to get better.
The Timberwolves were never going to make it.
They were
That's not the problem.
They were not. They should have never been where they
problem.
were in the first place. That made the Thunder's road to this even easier.
Side
the answer is
neither should the Pacers.
Yes, they should.
The Pacers shouldn't be here.
They came into the playoffs and proved that they should be here. I don't agree, and honestly, I'll give you the Thunder.
The Pacers shouldn't be here.
The Thunder should be, but so should the Pacers. If they can beat the Knicks, they'll have proven it in the playoffs when it matters the most, and their offense is competitive and their defense is really fast, and they have really good players, and they're good on the fast break, which is something that the Thunder is going to have to keep up with, and I think they won't.
The Pacers shouldn't be here.
Never.
And the Thunder are about to show them that.
We got an extended amount of time here on this one. This one's fun.
And you're irritating. Thank you, Metro, for tuning in to another edition of Numbers and Beyond. My name is Will, and as always, this is Ben, and we thank you for tuning in.
And I'm right.